Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to NIPA School of Administration, Jakarta. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nayu, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies in today's event. Before we start the Planet Forum, there are several rules for all participants. First, all online participants can stream this conference through Zoom meeting and YouTube channel. Second, all participants in the Zoom meeting, please mute your speaker during the event. The third, all participants that attend online, please mute your device during the event. The fourth, online participants can ask questions to the panel speakers through chat on Zoom or YouTube by mentioning your names, affiliations, then questions. Please keep it short and precise. The fifth, the questions can be spoken in written in Bahasa and English. Sixth, for all participants that attend in this room, you may ask your questions both in English and Bahasa. And the last one, a link to attendance form for the Zoom meeting will be available for all participants by the end of the forum. Ladies and gentlemen, the forum is about to start. Please be seated and mute your speaker and devices. Thank you. The Honorable Professor Song Hwan Pyong, Professor of Public Administration Department from Inha University, the President of E-Government Study Forum, Korean Association for Public Administration. The Honorable Professor Chang Hun Chung from Inha University. The Honorable Professor Jin Sol Park from Inha University. The Honorable Professor Hyun So Kim from Inha University. The Honorable Professor Paula Sis Kumar, Professor of Public Administration Department, Santa Catarina State University, Brazil. The Honorable Representatives from regional governments, also central governments. Yang kami hormati, Kepala Bidang Bapeda Kabupaten Tangerang. Yang kami hormati, Kepala Balitbang Kabupaten Muara Enim. Yang kami hormati, Kepala Balitbang Kabupaten Seluma. Yang kami hormati, Kepala Bapeda Kabupaten Musi Banyuasin. Yang kami hormati, Kepala Bapeda Kabupaten Banggai. Yang kami hormati, Kepala Bapeda Kabupaten Pasaman. Yang kami hormati pula para Kepala Bapeda dan Balitbangda beserta perwakilan instansi di seluruh Indonesia yang hadir secara daring. The Honorable High Officials of National Institute of Public Administration, the Honorable our Director of NIPA School of Administration Jakarta, Professor Dr. Nurliah Nurdin, and also all participants both attending at the venue and in the Zoom meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to NIPA School of Administration Jakarta campus, and we are so delighted to welcome you to International Community Service Forum today, 23 of August 2023. NIPA School of Administration Jakarta has the honor to present this intellectual discussion forum with the main topic, Smart City and Accountability in the Era of Global and Resilient Governance. This forum aims to provide collaborative governance among a set of global national, and local actors in managing smart city, including the development of smart community, smart mobility, smart environment, smart economy, smart governance, and smart living. A complete agenda of today's event is as follows. First, singing the national anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya. Second, traditional dance performance, Genjring Party. The third, opening speech by the director of NIPA School of Administration Jakarta, Professor Dr. Nurliah Nurdin. The fourth, the presentation and discussion led by our moderators. And the fifth is closing. For a moment, we would like to invite you to rise and sing Indonesian anthem, Indonesia Raya.
Pak ini.
Thank you. All the audiences, please be seated. Next, we are going to see the performance of Genjring Party traditional dance by the students of the NIPA School of Administration, Jakarta. Please big applause. Thank you for the big applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to listen the opening speech by Professor Dr. Nurlian Nurdin, our Director of NIPA School of Administration, Jakarta.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. My respect for the invited keynote speakers, Professor Seung Hwang Myung, Public Administration Department, Inha University, South Korea, the President of E-Government Study Forum, Korean Association for Public Administrations, along with college who just came last night, Professor Min Kyung-ching, International Business Director of Inha University, Professor Chang Hong Chang, Professor Jin Sol Park, Professor Kim Hyung-soo, and the one that we have kept since Monday with us, Professor Paula Chiscummers, Public Administration Department, State University of Santa Catarina, Brazil. And we do also have our representative for local government attending here, offline and also online. Representative from regional government, also central government. Thank you for your college too. Banggai Regency, Central Sulawesi Province. Thank you for coming. Musi Banyuwangi Regency, South Sumatra Province. Seluma Regency, Bengkulu Province, Muara Enim Regency, South Sumatra Province, Pasaman Regency, West Sumatra Province, Tangerang Regency, West Java Province, and representative of Jakarta Provincial Governments, ministerial representative, and many other regions, high official of NIPA, lecturers, college students, and all participants. Praise be to Allah, the most merciful, for His blessing, joy, and willingness. We can success this international community service, which is the first time we had it today. We have a really honorable guest on the webinar with the title Smart City and Accountability in the Era of Resilience Governance. And also, Happy Independence Day for Indonesia. We just have it in August 17th. Selamat Hari Kemerdekaan ke-78. Marilah kita bersatu padu, terus melaju untuk Indonesia maju, Dirgahayu Republik Indonesia. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. We do have this time two countries representatives to share their knowledge on smart city, Brazil and South Korea. Brazil and Indonesia have much in common, such as having some of the world's largest remaining tropical forests and rich natural resources. They also share one particular similarity at some point. During the post-colonial era, both governments came up with the idea of building a new capital city. We currently also trying to build a new capital city in Kalimantan. While the government in Brazil put the idea into practice some 60 years ago by building Brasilia current capitals, construction of the new Indonesia capital is currently underway. Meanwhile, South Korea, as far as industrialized country, it has one of the world's most famous smart city project located in Incheon Free Economic Zone. The Korean government has prioritized smart city pilot project of greenfield development, water management, where we discussed recent 3 days how to reserve water we keep developing our country, but how about our natural resource? That we're working on that issues, and robotics, smart mobility, artificial intelligence. Even by developing an integrated smart city platform, the Korean government has outperformed many nations in accelerating innovative tools for managing the global pandemic in 2 years ago. This is something I think some question will raise. Mr. Deputy, Professor Paula, Professor Myung, and all my college, bring together with us a representative of regional government across Indonesia. We are committed to building more modern cities with a smart, sustainable living. Cities in the constant growth have a crucial role in the global sustainable development. In 2023, a global report on the Smart City Index put Jakarta, Medan, North Sumatra, Makassar, South Sulawesi in the top 3 smart city ranked across Indonesia. Jakarta, the capital, ranked 102 of total of 141 global smart cities. Somehow, the embedded problems, including congestions and pollution in Jakarta, remain irregular. Despite its leading role in smart city development, Jakarta's air pollution has reached a global alarming level. For weeks, Jakarta ranked top of the list of the world's most polluted major cities. Here we can learn empirically that a smart city relies not only on the advancement of technology. A smart city development involves smart governments, smart people, smart mobility, smart economy, smart living. This is our big questions currently, and smart environment. Smart city development is transboundary. That's why we are happy to have a Professor Myung and team to share the knowledge in the nature. It needs solid proponent cities development. Therefore, collaborative movement is critical in the creating accountable and resilient governments. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that by participation in this international community services in form of a webinar, we have you come in this Polytechnic Challenge building, also online. We can determine collaborative ways. We are open for collaborative ways to accelerate the exchange of ideas. We are all Indonesian can learn good practices from South Korea and Brazil on how they create city innovation and development. Brazil, Indonesia, and South Korea are members of the G20, a global forum, and hopefully we can strengthen international relationship through community service programs. And our partners from the local government, we are open to be your engagement provider to work further on this collaboration, especially on the smart city. We can start initiating smart city assistance program between the regional government and INHA University through Innovation Laboratory. NIPA School of Administration is committed to facilitating collaborative projects in all stages, from planning to monitoring and evaluations. As we understand, according to populations, Indonesia, among these 3 countries, Indonesia has the largest populations, which our population reached to 270 million populations, Brazil to 216 million populations, and South Korea to 52 million population. So we are 5 times bigger population, yeah, compared to Brazil. Brazil 4 times higher population. But let's see, that is actually we learn that development is not about development itself, but it's about human resource. It's not about a natural resource. If we can see the data on OECD 2019, because smart city come from the people. How smart is the people? Let's see the data reading rate. The data reading rate. So considering the population, we are the largest population. Among 78 nations of 15 years old students, schools performance, South Korea position at the 6th among these 78 countries. Brazil position is the 66th position, and Indonesia position is the 71st position. So we learn on this data that we are Indonesians still need to do a lot more collaborations to exchange the view, to exchange the knowledge, because developing one country, it cannot be left other countries. This is where we start today, South Korea, Indonesia, and Brazil. We promised this morning with the coffee of Toraja, I think. We just had coffee this morning, Toraja coffee. And then we promised to do a lot more collaboration to help each other advancing our smart city development. At the end, I would deliver my endless gratitude to our speakers. I can't thank you more. We are really deeply grateful for your coming, Professor Myong and team, Professor Paula, for your sincere sharing and knowledge. Thank you to our respected guests from Sumatra, East Nusa Tenggara, Bengkulu, Tangerang, and Jakarta. Enjoy the lectures. Please take still as many as information that we can take back in our place to develop our city, to advance our community. Thank you again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, thank you, Professor Nurlia, for the delightful opening speech. And finally, the moment that we have been waiting for, the presentation session first by Professor Song Hwan Myong, Professor of Public Administration Department from Inha University, the President of E-Government Study Forum, Korean Association for Public Administration. We invite Professor Myong and Mr. Budi Fernando as the moderator to get on stage and start the discussion session 1. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nayu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, namo buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of us and welcome again to our International Community Service Seminar today. This seminar is also connected in blended setting, Professor. Therefore, we would also want to welcome those participants who are joining us virtually. There are already 262 participants, Professor. So we wish you could join us in person here, but anyway, thank you for joining us. My name is Budi Fernando Tumangor. I'm head of the Human Resource Management part of the study program. I will be the moderator for this first session today. We have 2 sessions today. Okay. After me, Mrs. Paula will, Professor Paula will give the material. It's an honor and a grateful situation for welcoming Professor Seung-Hwan Young together with the team. I do apologize if I have a mistake to pronounce the name. Professor Chung-Hun Chung, Professor Jin-Soo Park, and Professor Hyun-Soo Kim to be with us at this remarkable event. Allow me to introduce a little bit more about Professor Myung as one of our speakers today. Professor Myung will deliver his presentation about from e-government to smart governance and smart city, speed of consensus and leadership. Professor Myung is a renowned professor in the Public Administration Department of Inha University, Incheon, Republic of Korea. He received his bachelor's degree in public administration from the Hankook University of Foreign Studies, South Korea, and his master's degree in public administration also in the same university, if I'm not wrong, and eventually received his PhD degree in social science from Syracuse University. Until now, Professor Myung already produces 10 books and more than 100 articles. His current research interests include smart city, smart governance, e-government, blockchain, government reform, industrial security, and many more. His current projects are building models and method for industrial security governance issues, including technical, physical, and managerial perspective. With an extensive academic background, Professor Myung served as president of the Korean Association for Policy Studies in 2018. He currently serves as the Center for Security Convergence and E-Governance Director. Previously, he was also a vice chair of the Digital New Deal Committee in the Presidential Commission on Policy Planning in 2021 until 2022. We hope Professor Myung, Professor, can deliver us the material presentation for 25 until 30 minutes. Is okay? Is it okay? Okay. After that, we will have a key question and answer session for all the participants in this room and also the participant in the Zoom meeting room. So we will give 2 sessions for the questions and answer. From this room and also from the Zoom meeting room. So without further ado, please welcome Professor Seung-Hwan Myung. The floor is yours, Professor.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Selamat pagi, Tita. 안녕하세요. Okay, I have prepared my presentation, my PPT, and then I will explain looking at that. So my presentation entitled From E-Government to Smart Governance and Smart City. And it's not going to be a long time. It's just 20 to 25 minutes, right? Okay. Yes, I'll try my best.
Next slide, please.
Yes, this is the story that I'd like to share today with you. And firstly, I'd like to briefly explain about the e-governance model. And the earlier stage, the history of Korean experience. And I'm going to move to the smart city. What is the smart city? I'm going to define the smart city shortly and discuss about a little bit of strategies. And I also published in journal about the determinant factors of and models for the smart city 2 years ago. So let's look at what it is. And finally, I'd like to introduce the case of Korea, the city Gimpo City and Namyangju, and I'd like to compare and make a conclusion after that.
Okay, we will try to translate it because previous slide please. Profesor Myong, Bapak Ibu akan menyampaikan beberapa hal terkait dengan tema yang disiapkan oleh beliau, tetapi yang paling penting nanti akan menyampaikan pengalaman praktis atau best practice dari Korea, nanti akan bisa menjadi mungkin bantuan bagi kita untuk bisa belajar bagaimana Korea melakukan atau berproses menciptakan smart city. Lalu nanti kita akan sampai kepada conclusion, mudah-mudahan sampai pada conclusion. Dan waktu cukup. Okay.
All right. Next. Okay. This is what UN recommended, the factors for building e-government. So it is kind of general model and factors that we are sharing all together. So these include IT infrastructures, human resources, and leadership and vision. And legal system is very important. And finally, we need government reform and innovation. Those 5 factors are critical to build e-government and smart city.
Jadi Profesor Myong menyampaikan bahwa ada beberapa poin ya atau elemen penting untuk menciptakan smart city, infrastruktur IT yang baik, sumber daya manusia, kepemimpinan dan visi kepemimpinan yang mendukung, dan yang paling penting juga tak kalah penting, bahkan paling penting menurut beliau adalah tentang legal standing. Jadi ada kebijakan atau peraturan yang mendasari. Dan yang terakhir yang beliau sampaikan adalah perlu ada poin tentang reformasi birokrasi yang mungkin kalau di kita reformasi birokrasi atau reformasi di sisi administrasi publik.
Okay, next.
Next slide.
Next slide. Okay, you can see the red highlighted, the sentence there. So any kind of e-government building or e-governance should focus to improve citizens' quality of life. That is the highest objective, not government people's life. Okay, so mostly the developing countries, they are focusing on building e-government system for their government or for their public officials first, but that's not it. Okay, so at any rate, it must be focused on improving the citizens, the people's quality of life. That is the most important thing.
Hal yang paling penting sebenarnya bukan hanya kualitas dari bagaimana pemerintahan kita, tapi malah lebih penting bagaimana kualitas hidup warga negara. Jadi e-governance itu harus mendorong pada terciptanya kualitas yang lebih baik dalam yang dirasakan atau yang dialami oleh warga negara kita. Dan itu yang paling penting, tujuan yang paling utama, paling tinggi.
So that's the reason why government reform must be oriented, re-engineering those old public administration to be more friendly to people. Okay.
Sehingga fokusnya harus bisa semua pelayanan publik dan kemudian apapun kebijakan pemerintah harus diarahkan demi peningkatan kualitas hidup warga negara kita yang lebih baik. Fokusnya adalah kembali ke warga negara.
Okay, next slide. So these are contingency model our research team has developed a long time ago. So those are models you can regenerate as research topics. So input and output, throughput. So in throughput, you can see technical factors, administrative elements, and social factors. So input should be include leaders' vision. For example, the president of Indonesia, president has a strong leadership. We're going to have a world best smart governance and smart city in the world. A strong will. and the people and ministers, they all listen to that, okay? So the input and output must be, as I already explained, it must be people-oriented service. Okay, that's it.
Jadi ini model yang bisa kita jadikan rujukan untuk menciptakan e-governance yang baik ya. Tapi beliau juga menyampaikan bahwa Indonesia melalui pimpinan kita paling tinggi, Pak Presiden Joko Widodo juga memberikan perhatian besar terkait dengan bagaimana kita membangun atau menciptakan e-governance atau bahkan smart city. Dan semua menteri yang ada di bawah beliau juga didorong untuk bisa mendukung hal tersebut tercipta, dan beliau juga sangat setuju dan sependapat untuk bisa terus-menerus mempromosikan penciptaan dan pembentukan smart city yang baik di Indonesia.
Okay, next. Yeah, these are another model that I published. So the horizontal part is in the table. E-government for whom? And the vertical side, e-government for what? So e-government for government, nation only, or citizen. And the horizontal part is e-government for increasing the level of efficiency of productivity or transparency for whom? And increasing the level of power for whom? Okay, so mixed all together, we can have 6 different types of model. So type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then you can see the arrow there. That is the right trace. If you successfully build the smart city or smart e-government in every stages. So from type 1, type 2, and type 4, and type 6. That is the ideal type of developing e-government and smart city.
Di model ini kita bisa melihat ada 2 sumbu yang penting, e-governance untuk siapa dan untuk apa. Jadi 2 poin itu membantu kita membaca model ini dan mengimplementasikannya, karena for what di situ, untuk apa di situ jelas, value-nya adalah efisiensi, produktivitas yang efisien, keterbukaan, dan kuasa. Jadi itu yang menjadi poin atau nilai elektronik e-governance itu untuk apa. Lalu untuk siapa? Ada poin di situ adalah untuk government or nation, dan lagi-lagi warga negara. Jadi ada 6 tipe di situ yang ideal menurut model ini yang direkomendasikan oleh Prof. Myong untuk bisa kita lakukan. Jadi poinnya, sumbunya, perhatiannya adalah untuk electronic e-governance itu untuk siapa, lalu kemudian untuk apa. Jadi kita bisa melihat dari model ini supaya kita lebih konkret mempraktikkan atau mengimplementasikan e-governance itu.
So look at, we'd like to compare type 3 and 4. So type 4, for example, during the COVID-19, government had to transparent to the citizen how we are doing now. Okay, how are any kind of medical, preparations and antibiotic, whatever. So vaccines, okay, which vaccines? So we have to let people know all the time. But type 3, the monitoring government over Big Brother, type 5, I cannot tell which country is that there, but they don't open. They secretly decide everything and massage, manipulate the data. That is a false data, fake data. Okay, that is they're telling a lie. Okay, so we are not gonna follow that model. So monitoring government, Big Brother, no. So we're gonna be transparent to citizens, to the world, and finally we reach to the type 6, that is really democratic government.
Prof. Myong mencontohkan misalnya kita melihat tipe keempat, bahwa kalau kita melihat e-governance itu dari sisi untuk apa, poinnya adalah keterbukaan. Contoh yang diangkat oleh beliau misalnya terkait dengan kasus COVID yang sudah beberapa waktu yang lalu yang dialami oleh kita, seluruh negara di dunia. Jadi e-governance itu harus bisa mendorong for whom, berarti kita harus terbuka ya untuk warga negara terkait dengan bagaimana proses vaksin, lalu apa yang harus kita lakukan untuk mencegah itu dan meminimalisir dampaknya, dan tidak bijaksana kalau kita menutup informasi itu, karena masyarakat harus tahu apa yang harus kebijakan apa yang sedang dilakukan oleh pemerintah dan harus mendukung juga kegiatan kebijakan tersebut supaya semua pihak bisa tahu, dan juga bukan tahu aja tapi bisa juga mendukung bersama-sama, berjalan bersama-sama untuk keluar dari permasalahan itu.
So we call it opposite pyramid model. Pure opposite pyramid. Bottom to top. Not top from the top to bottom. Okay? So the hierarchy system now, a bureaucratic system, comes from the top. Every power comes from the top and to the bottom. And people doesn't know what is happening now, okay? But future model should be like opposite. Pyramid, the power comes from the bottom, citizen. And government, dictator cannot monitor or tell them open everything to the government. We know what you are doing. They cannot do that in the future. Okay, so that is the real important.
Jadi Prof yang mengusulkan di masa depan seharusnya demokrasi itu menjadi piramida terbalik ya. Jadi bukan dari atas ke bawah seperti yang sekarang ada. Seharusnya menjadi, kalau kita istilahnya the grassroots ya, jadi dari warga atau dari masyarakat bawah kita mendengarkan aspirasi mereka dan nanti piramidanya menjadi terbalik sehingga keterbukaan dan kemudian rencana atau kegiatan atau kebijakan bahkan itu berangkat dari kebutuhan yang real ada dari bawah, sehingga pemerintah menjadi tidak bijaksana untuk menjadi diktator atau mungkin menutup kemungkinan dari masyarakat bawah untuk menyampaikan aspirasi dan kesulitan mereka. Nah, itulah yang disukai oleh beliau. Demokrasi atau bentuk pemerintahan di masa depan harusnya seperti itu. Karena didukung oleh e-governance ini.
Okay, next. Okay, I'm going to speed up. Okay, these are model. Okay, next.
Next slide, please.
Next slide, please. Okay, this is a kind of ambitious model that we have to collaborate to make this model finished. Next.
Next slide, please.
Next. Okay, these are our history. So we have started from the technical model and technocrats. So we built infrastructure and intranets and everything. And then we have moved to opened the government portal site to the citizen. And now we have moved to the type 4, and people can access and doing something. You know, they know what government is doing, and the data is shared all together. And so every insurance systems and government system connected all together, and people can access to that database. That's the reason why Korea has the kind of #1 medical system, insurance system in the world, because they all converge it together, the data, the medical data, health data, and education, and everything together.
Oke, inilah contoh konkret yang dilakukan oleh pemerintahan Korea Selatan untuk e-government model mereka. Jadi menggunakan model yang tadi sebelumnya kita lihat. Di sini terlihat jelas bagaimana untuk setiap tipe yang disampaikan dalam hal, kalau kita perhatikan tentang e-government forward-nya, value-nya tentang efficiency, productivity, sampai power itu diterjemahkan secara detail. Dan ini membuka, bukan hanya membuka, tapi juga memastikan semua orang bisa mengakses data. Bahkan masyarakat bisa tahu apa yang mereka inginkan, jadi bisa gampang mudah dapat akses itu. Dan pemerintah Korea Selatan juga mencoba membangun budaya keterbukaan ini dengan support penuh ya support penuh dari data yang big data yang disiapkan, ya. Sehingga seperti halnya di kita Indonesia, data kita jangan terlalu banyak ya. Nah, yang saya tangkap dari penjelasan beliau adalah di Korea Selatan data yang digunakan menjadi, kalau boleh kita katakan, satu data untuk semua gitu. Masyarakat bisa mengakses data itu.
Okay, next. Yeah, we're gonna skip.
Next slide, please. Yeah.
Next. Okay, already explained. Next. Okay, this one.
Previous slide.
Yeah,
Huh?
before
Before?
previous slide.
Yeah,
Yes. So this was a strategy that was done from 1987 to 1996, almost 10 years. So strategy was top-down approach first, and then government guarantee the investment from the private companies, so support, and enacted Computer Network Proliferation and Promotion Act. So legal system, stable, okay? And they have launched Presidential Committee for the Computer Network and e-government during that time.
Ya, jadi ini perjalanan yang dilakukan oleh Korea untuk membangun bagaimana perjalanan mereka untuk membangun governance, dan terlihat sekali di sini bagaimana mereka awalnya Korea itu sangat pendekatannya sangat top down, ya. Jadi dan pemerintah mengeluarkan aturan yang jelas dan ketat ya terkait dengan bagaimana bukan hanya investasi tapi juga bagaimana implementasi dari penggunaan data ya atau hal yang berkaitan dengan data, dan terkesan ya dari tahun 1987 sampai 1996 ini Korea Selatan sangat kental dengan kalau boleh dikatakan berarti berbeda dengan keterbukaan atau transparansi yang didorong untuk e-governance pada saat ini yang ada di Korea Selatan.
Okay, next.
Next slide.
Next slide, please. Go ahead.
Next slide.
Go.
More.
Next
slide.
Next. I have a lot of slides. Go.
Next slide, please.
Yes. Go. Okay. Go. Yes. This one. It's a smart
Okay.
city. That's what Gartner defined. It is kind of engaging people together, and digitalizations and innovation should be included, and the city should be sustainable. And that's what Jakarta has, at risk now. So, how can we make our city sustainable? Okay. So operate. It must be working somewhere, somehow, for 24 hours. Okay. So digitalized and data, people all together, everything all together, connected and working anywhere, any accessibility, working or operating all the time. So.
Jadi intinya sebenarnya menurut Prof. Myong adalah untuk smart city itu sebenarnya bagaimana teknologi digital terutama membantu semua orang terhubung, terikat. Ya, jadi begitu terhubung dan terikat bersama-sama semuanya mendorong untuk bagaimana supaya negara itu atau kota ya kalau boleh kita contohkan kota lebih spesifik bisa berlangsung terus, jadi menghadapi berbagai masalah, terkoneksi real time dan anytime ya, karena didukung oleh teknologi digital dan data yang diakses pun semakin mudah ketika mengoperasikan data, membutuhkan data untuk bisa lebih dilakukan tindak lanjut untuk mungkin ada masalah yang terkait dengan muncul ya di satu kota atau negara kita. Jadi masyarakat atau mungkin pihak terkait gampang sekali terhubung dengan bantuan teknologi digital itu dan gampang sekali mengakses data. Sehingga mendorong terciptanya sustainability itu. Bahkan inovasi pun akan terus-menerus tercipta.
Okay, next. Very at the end, I'm gonna finish earlier than before. Go to the end. Go. Yes. Go. Okay, so go. I can compare to the end. So there's a model there. Just comparing with each other. Go. Too much complicated to smart down. Okay, go. You can see. Well, I'm going to leave this slide, okay, to you. All right. So, findings. No.
Previously?
Not references.
Before conclusions. Slide before conclusion, please. They're confusing because
They already
because we have to choose the slides, in order about a limitation of time,
Yeah, findings almost there. Okay. Previous
slide.
Oh, okay, it's
Okay,
fine.
yeah.
Yes. I'd like to mention that the building smart city or e-government or smart governance, whatever, the most important thing is leadership. The president must have knowledge and understandings about e-government or digital transformation. If he or she doesn't have, it is very hard to persuade people. The president should persuade. So this is it. So we're going to move to Medan because Jakarta is sinking. So we're going to build a new paradise. And that's going to be a smart city that we are dreaming and persuade people. So we all together cooperate with each other. Between public and private and citizen, core partners. As a partner, we're gonna build together. That is the very important leadership. Yes.
Oke, Profesor Myang mengatakan bahwa sebenarnya bagian yang paling sulit sebenarnya bagaimana kita menyamakan persepsi atau pemahaman, bahkan juga menjadi penting adalah kita yang membuat kebijakan, lalu kita yang melayani masyarakat harus punya pemahaman yang clear juga atau jelas juga terkait dengan bagaimana menciptakan smart city. Sehingga kita bisa mengajak masyarakat bersama-sama dan juga dari sektor swasta juga untuk bekerja bersama. Karena ada persepsi yang sama, pemahaman yang sama, dan juga menjadi mudah untuk bisa membuat strategi yang tepat untuk penciptaan smart city. Sebagai contoh misalnya di Jakarta, ya kita fokus kita saat ini beberapa waktu belakangan ini ke Jakarta sangat besar ya, sehingga kalau kita ingin menciptakan Jakarta dan kota lain untuk menjadikan Jakarta dan kota lain itu menjadi smart city, perlu hal yang tadi disampaikan oleh Prof. Yong, ada persepsi yang tepat tentang bagaimana membangun smart city dan kolaborasi ya bersama dengan masyarakat, lalu pemerintah dan kemudian sektor swasta.
And next, government should initiate and buy systems, okay, items from the private company. And in the beginning, mostly you too much rely on the foreign companies like, so Malaysia, the same experience. But it took a long time. But anyway, government should buy. And that is procurement, government procurement. Okay? They have to initiate, buy something or install something to build a platform, cloud system, for to build a smart city and smart government, it needs platform, cloud, network. Where should buy it? Okay. Do we have what? IBM or Samsung? Okay. Okay. Anyway, at least government should watch and monitor which is cheaper, okay, and sustainable compare with each other. So that's what government should do. Remember.
Ya, Prof Myong menekankan bahwa perlunya saat ini mungkin kita sudah punya, ya, tapi Pak Prof Myong menekankan bahwa perlu dibuat satu, kalau boleh bahasa sederhananya begini, kita harus punya satu aplikasi yang terintegrasi dan mungkin datanya lebih besar, jangkauan lebih besar, yang mana bisa membantu pemerintah mungkin level nasional ya, atau mungkin untuk kepentingan kabupaten atau kota ya, untuk bisa memonitor ya semua kegiatan. Dan kalau if I'm not wrong, we already have this kind of a example because we have a command center in every agency, perhaps. But ya mungkin kita punya tapi mungkin masih partial. Prof Myong mendorong bahwa pemerintah perlu mempunyai satu cloud system atau penyimpanan data yang besar, supaya kita bisa menggunakan mungkin leadernya ke Kominfo ya, lebih tepat ya. Ya, jadi berangkat dari pendapat beliau adalah pemerintah perlu mengupayakan apakah kita perlu cari dari IBM atau Samsung atau penyedia yang lain itu supaya kita bisa menyimpan any kind of data there ya di cloud system kita untuk keperluan lagi-lagi smart city, karena backbone smart city itu atau e-governance itu adalah IT infrastructure. Am I right? Ya, seperti itu.
So lastly, we still Korea is too much depends on the foreign, vendors like AWS, Amazon, and and IBM. Actually, Samsung doesn't have that cloud platforms. No, every technology system perhaps comes from Amazon and IBM. That's the reality. Yes. So system integration, it is kind of, something that we cannot have. Okay. So we must be very smart, cheaper, and we need to have learn technology and what they have from Amazon, AWS, and Cisco, IBM. They have to transfer technology to us. Yeah. So we had that experience for the last 20, 30 years. So we can share that experience with Indonesia.
Ya, jadi bicara tentang sustainability, Prof Myong mengatakan bahwa di Korea pun sebenarnya Samsung tidak mempunyai cloud system atau aplikasi atau platform. Mereka menggunakan dari Amerika ya, Amazon atau yang lainnya. Dan Prof Myong mengusulkan atau menyarankan, merekomendasikan kita untuk terkait dengan sustainability ini kita bisa belajar. Jadi kita menggunakan atau bisa memakai aplikasi cloud system itu dari perusahaan asing, tapi kita harus melakukan atau mendorong tadi sharing knowledge supaya kita bisa membuat sendiri. Karena Korea Selatan sedang melakukan seperti itu, karena Samsung sendiri pun tidak punya sistem cloud system yang seperti yang diharapkan ya untuk satu kapasitas untuk bisa mengimplementasikan smart city. Sehingga Prof Myong mendorong urgensi bahwa Indonesia pun harus melakukan hal yang sama untuk bisa memaksa, dalam tanda kutip memaksa, ada transfer knowledge, transfer skill, transfer any kind of technology ya dari mereka supaya kita bisa membuat sendiri seperti itu. Ya.
So I'd like to mention as a conclusion, we are still have many things to do to follow the most advanced countries. So we're still running far behind, but at least we know how to make sure, choose the short way, faster way. Mm-hmm. That's why we have learned. Yeah. and especially building smart city and smart government. So that we comparatively, we have been very successful. Okay, cheaper, faster, more efficient way. So we'd like to share that with Indonesia. That is my conclusion. Thank you very much.
Ya, jadi Korea Selatan juga sendiri sudah memahami bahwa Korea Selatan belajar dari negara maju, dan mereka mencoba melihat bagaimana caranya sistem itu dibangun di Korea, cloud system dan semua sistem IT infrastruktur yang mendukung smart city itu mereka upayakan, mereka benchmarking ke negara maju, tapi mereka juga mencoba menciptakan suatu sistem yang praktis, mudah, murah ya di Korea Selatan sendiri, sehingga Korea Selatan itu tetap ikut on the track dengan kemajuan yang diupayakan dan dilakukan oleh negara-negara yang maju, dan Korea Selatan tetap on the track ya, untuk menciptakan kemajuan atau inovasi yang dilakukan oleh negara-negara maju tersebut. Dan Prof. Yong mengusulkan dan merekomendasikan hal itu yang sama juga harus dilakukan di Indonesia.
Thank you very much for your listening to my lecture. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Professor Myong. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, maybe we will give an opportunity to us to give a question with the two sessions, I think. Two questions from this room and two questions from the Zoom meeting room. Okay, I will begin from my left side. Okay, there are two students, yeah? There are two students there. Okay, you can use the microphone. Please let us know your name, yeah, and then your question.
Ya, perkenalkan nama saya Rebecca Melani, saya dari Prodi APN. Di sini saya mempunyai pertanyaan, mungkin pakai bahasa Indonesia aja kali Pak ya, nanti tinggal bantu ditranslatekan. Di sini terima kasih sebelumnya atas informasi yang sudah diberikan dari narasumber.
Sorry, what's your name?
My name is Rebecca.
Huh?
Rebecca.
Okay, Rebecca.
Yeah. Di sini kan yang kita tahu kalau misalnya Quora itu mempunyai sistem one stop application yang di e-governance-nya, di mana itu benar-benar bagus banget dan saya found itu interesting, itu pernah jadi bahan pembicaraan saya di kelas. Yang saya benar-benar pengen tahu banget, apakah ada concern tersendiri dari e-governance Korea termasuk government Korea sendiri, karena melihat kan kalau misalnya e-governance ini semuanya terdigitalisasikan. Dan kemungkinan ada nggak sih concern seperti perubahan ideologi, perubahan sistem kepemerintahan, atau adanya pengangguran pada masyarakat, melihat semuanya itu kan menggunakan teknologi yang tinggi. Jadi apa yang menjadi concern? Dan yang saya pengen tahu lagi, tingkat sekuritas keamanan data dari government Korea itu segimana tinggi sih? Gitu. Terima kasih.
Okay, maybe we go for the first question. Okay. Okay, Rebecca is one of our students. Yeah, from she has a question to you, Professor. She ever knew about one of the application in Korea, one-stop application. She's amazed for that application because every kind of data in Korea, South Korea, being digitalized. So she asked about are there any kind of concerns about these points regarding to security data and then the change of ideology and then many social problem. Many other social problems, because if any process or any services in South Korea being digitalized, how can South Korea government try to understand about the situation or changing situation in regarding to security data and ideology changing and so on.
Yes, so that is always the critical issue, balancing between free access, easy access,
Yeah.
and openness, and protection of individual privacy.
Yeah.
So balancing each other is very important, very difficult and important. And but in the beginning, and at least in the middle of developing, building e-government, you need to what? Focus on connecting data.
Connecting data.
Yes. Because if you too much think about the privacy,
Okay.
protection,
Yeah.
you cannot do anything. During the COVID-19, that is the example. People at the first time, they're afraid of government is monitoring us, they have everything.
Yeah.
But in the short run, in the 6 months after the COVID-19 was break out, and everybody wants to have quick service.
Yeah.
And I don't mind my privacy because I need protect. I need government support money
Yeah.
in my pocket
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
Okay. That is the way of doing in Estonia that is happening.
Okay.
Estonia.
Estonia.
They open their privacy to the government data platform. And the government and institution, hospital, they all share the private data. But that is very, helpful in the emergency system. You got car accident or heart attack. Okay, 119, the medical, emergency car is coming, but you're already dead. If you check your privacy data, whatever, in traffic,
So long.
okay, you die before access to the hospital.
Yeah.
So you gotta be done something based upon your data.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what is happening in Estonia, but it's not happening in Korea. People are dying because it is prevented, it is blocked. They have to, approve by related institutions. Very complicated, and you die. Okay, so that is the choice of people and government and negotiate. So in this situation, we're going to share right away, open. Yes, depending upon situation, you have to categorize which level. Okay, emergency system, you share. Like COVID-19.
Yeah.
So we have actually opened the data and share. That is the 3 critical data must be connected.
Yeah.
The data enacting act. And Presidential Committee for Private Protection, Privacy, was also established at the same time. So they are looking at, okay, at this time, in this situation, that must be instantly connected at this moment. So it is kind of, is art, not science, art. And science and art balance all together at the moment. But fortunately, we are connected with smartphone. So you can choose or block in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we have to do, and that we are dealing with that issue in Korea now.
Yeah.
Korea, everybody is bringing smartphone. They are very good at fast. Okay, so they can decide. Okay, at this time, please give me a service and please save me, and you open. Agree. Okay, at the same time, open my private data. All right, and monitoring and detecting in the 911 ambulance. So everybody, the medical doctor diagnoses your problem or medical history, all right, before. So that is the important thing.
But in South Korea is just for the emergency situation. Am I right?
Emergency and special moment like COVID-19.
Okay, special moment.
But mostly too much conservative. So that is kind of unbalancing.
Yeah.
We are most top tier e-government system, but protection privacy is very strong and heavy.
Yeah.
It's a big gap. And that means government is still not transparent. So, surprisingly, the level of corruption in Korea is not that good. Ranked 30 or 40 something. Yeah, we are not transparent because of that. Political problem, bureaucratic problem, too much conflict of interest. Power game, So that we have to solve that problem too.
Okay. Jadi Rebecca, jadi Prof Yong mengatakan bahwa sebenarnya concern yang kamu sampaikan itu juga menjadi perhatian Korea Selatan ketika mereka melakukan proses untuk melakukan proses digitalisasi semua. Tadi Prof Yong mengatakan bahwa mengangkat contoh ya, situasi yang genting pada saat COVID-19 di Korea Selatan, mereka mendorong bahwa data pribadi pun bisa diakses supaya lebih cepat membantu penanganan kepada korban. Tetapi memang dalam waktu yang bersamaan juga proteksi atau perlindungan untuk data atau keamanan data tetap dijalankan juga di Korea Selatan karena memang hal tersebut juga menjadi perhatian Korea Selatan. Dan Prof Yong tadi mengatakan bahwa pengalaman di Estonia malah lebih ekstrim. Estonia itu membuka semua akses yang terkait kita, bahkan data pribadi, untuk bisa lebih cepat penanganan yang dilakukan. Karena memang mungkin suatu situasi panik dan genting pada saat itu, sehingga kebijakan Estonia membuka bahkan data pribadi untuk supaya gampang dan diakses. Tapi di pengalaman di Korea Selatan, walaupun memang semua pelayanan digitalisasi, ya, tetap ada poin tentang keamanan data dilindungi. Lalu kemudian tentang perubahan-perubahan yang terjadi, yang tadi kamu sampaikan bahwa itu juga menjadi fondasi atau pertimbangan Korea Selatan ketika membangun smart city itu atau e-governance dalam proses yang mereka lakukan dalam beberapa tahun dari sejak 1976 dari sampai sekarang ya. Begitu Rebecca. Oke, the next question from this room, kita beri kesempatan pada Bapak Ibu dari perwakilan Pemda. Oke, silakan Pak. Microphone please.
Baik, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Perkenalkan saya Khairuddin Batubara Pak, dari Bapeda Kabupaten Pasaman, Sumatera Barat. Yang pertama, kita sangat sepakat tadi dengan pernyataan Profesor bahwa saatnya memang kita mengambil aspirasi dari bawah ya. Jadi piramida itu yang besar itu kita awal dari akar rumput gitu. Tapi di Indonesia ini pengalaman kita kan perencanaan ini panjang ini Pak. Mulai dari tingkat desa, kecamatan, kabupaten, provinsi sampai ke tingkat pusat itu setelah kita melalui sebuah perjalanan panjang dan kita telah menghasilkan prioritas-prioritas pembangunan. Akhirnya ketika di final ini nanti justru banyak yang gugur dia. Nah, gugur apakah itu karena kondisi keuangannya, apakah karena ada kepentingan lain, Mohon maaf, kita juga harus berhadapan dengan parlemen, dengan DPRD. Nah, saya barangkali ingin tahu juga sepanjang pengetahuan profesor ini, kalau di Korea Selatan itu seperti apa sebenarnya? Ketika mereka merencanakan sebuah pembiayaan dalam pembangunan di daerah. Itu yang pertama. Kemudian yang kedua, smart city memang kita yakin akan sangat efektif dan efisien ya. Tapi bagi kami misalnya, karena kita berada di sebuah daerah yang barangkali berada di tengah pulau yang berbatasan dengan daerah-daerah yang juga kondisinya sama, kita masih terkendala dengan banyak hal, misalnya terkait dengan teknologi. Nah, kalau kita lihat tadi ada 5 core ya, core inti dari smart city yang disampaikan profesor itu, kira-kira bagaimana kita di daerah bisa menyikapi, apa kiatnya supaya kelima ini bisa kita peroleh dan bisa kita laksanakan dengan baik. Mungkin itu saja Pak, terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Pak Hairudin from.
Another long question.
Yeah. Okay, Professor Pak Hairudin wants to know from Professor about the process in Korea, South Korea, about how to manage the process about the budget system. Yeah, because in Indonesia it's very difficult. Like you say that the pyramid will be not top down but bottom up. Yeah, so it's not easy. It's not so easy in Indonesia to be practiced. And Pak Hairudin wants to know about what about in South Korea? How South Korea implement that kind of a way of democracy? Because especially about the how to create this budget system and support any kind of program in Regency, and then the second question, in Pasaman, in Pak Hairudin place is not so good with the IT infrastructure. Like you say that there are 5, if I'm not wrong, 5 or 6 cores to create or build smart city, but it's not easy for Pasaman because they don't have any kind of technology there, and also sophisticated, also advanced technology in regarding internet or connection. Yeah. So what is the first core that they have to build or create from the 6 core? Because they want to learn from South Korea, so that they can practice that in Pasaman to build smart city.
Okay, the first question, it is very difficult, very difficult. It depends on the situation of each nations, okay? So we've been, we have lived in a dictatorship, military dictatorship for a long time, you know, as you know.
Yeah.
And then the people and citizens, they struggled and protested to fall down the military dictators.
Yeah.
And it was very successful during the 1990s. And then the government regime has changed to democratic government. And then the people selected, and people's vote, the president was elected by people. Okay, so that is the beginning of democratic country. That was happened during the 1990s, and at last, the Kim Dae-jung, he was elected by purely people's power in 1998. And he is a great leader who understood about e-government and digital transformation at that time. And he pushed and supported a lot of ventures and initiated 11 projects to transform the country, Korea, into digitalized nations. And following the Kim Dae-jung regime, another democratic leader, Roh Moo-hyun, he elected, and he is very smart. He only graduated high school, you know, but he became lawyer, and he could make software by himself. He very good understandings about ITs. Yes. So those two government regime, we are blessed. We're blessed. About 10 years, pushed strategy to make our country more people-oriented and democratic countries like that. It was kind of people's revolution, what long time ago that was happened in France.
Yeah.
So it depends. It depends each nation's situation.
Yeah.
But you know what? These days, so every country, they share what is happening around the world. So what is wrong and what is good, who is dictator or who is not, okay? Yeah. In Saudi Arabia, they're going to build Neom City. It cost a lot, but still living in the, king dynasty that is not democratic.
Yeah.
So I'm very, suspicious about that. Neom City, that's not going to be successful. It costs too much money, and the idea, it is not realistic, like a Disneyland, like studio, block on the sand. It is, I don't know. I don't want to mention about that. Anyway, that is not the type of Korean style. And so, anyway, we have experience, okay? And we know how to do. And control the foreign vendors.
Yeah.
And then that is the important thing we can share together.
In Indonesia, Professor, because we have so many process, yeah, and then it's very long because we have an activity like we consider musrenbang. So every citizens from the grassroots, they are discussing and then try to make a plan and make a project, but they need so long process to push that kind of program to the center of the let's say to a governor or maybe the our leader, yeah. So sometimes, yeah, there are some political for example,
Kinship, tie, family.
yeah. So it's very not so easy for us to push the program or to push the aspiration from the bottom.
Yes,
what is the strategy in South Korea to overcome the problem, to overcome our problem? Yeah.
Overcome the problem. Yes, and we have traditions and history that the peoples get together and discuss together.
Yeah.
We have many different type of community meetings, and then we wisely used the internet, SNS, and they talk with each other and start criticizing dictator and government.
That's the way to
it's monitoring.
To monitor.
And then they share, and then revolutionized, and then the democratic president, because of the social media, during the 1990s.
Yeah,
1990s. It's not that long. And then power blogger, influencer. They decide in their mind, and then get out of the home and on the street and yelling out. This is what we have in mind. Okay.
Jadi Pak Hairudin, pengalaman di Korea Selatan sebenarnya didukung penuh karena ada dua pemimpin mereka di Korea Selatan yang sangat-sangat membangun pondasi yang kuat, ya, sehingga memungkinkan aspirasi itu bisa didengarkan. Bahkan tadi Prof Yung mengatakan bahwa Prof Yung menekankan sosial media bahkan di tahun 90-an di Korea Selatan itu bisa mengontrol bagaimana bukan hanya kesalahan pimpinan kita, tapi bagaimana proses demokrasi itu, bagaimana proses kita menyampaikan aspirasi itu, sehingga diminimalisir kepentingan-kepentingan lain masuk. Dan itu yang pengalaman di Korea Selatan ini yang mungkin kalau kita terjemahkan di pengalaman kita di Indonesia, ya harapannya ada dibuka ruang untuk keterbukaan dan kepentingan politik itu jangan terlalu besar gitu masuk. Nah itu yang menjadi permasalahan kita. Nah kita bisa belajar dari pengalaman Korea Selatan bahwa mereka bisa menggunakan sisi bukan hanya keterbukaan tapi sisi sosial media untuk mengontrol. Memang kita pengalaman di Indonesia ketika keterbukaan diberikan ada masalah lain yang muncul ya. Nah tapi pengalaman di Korea Selatan yang disampaikan oleh Prof. Myong tadi, pemimpinnya sangat mendukung hal itu terjadi. Keterbukaan, keterlibatan, partisipatori masyarakat, ya, keterlibatan masyarakat, suara didengarkan dari bawah, itu yang menjadi poinnya. Begitu Pak Hairudin, untuk pertanyaan pertama. The second question?
Yes. What was the second question?
Okay. Pak Hairudin wants to know from you how to implement the core of the smart city because they have a problem with the internet connection and technology.
So again, it takes a long time, but you can borrow the experience, okay, and knowledge how to build smart city faster than anybody. So Korea can do that, you know. We have package, we have SI, companies like Samsung, SK, and KT. They all SI companies. They collect every high tier technology company like Amazon and IBM, Cisco. They know how to deal with them, negotiate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have built Sejong, Busan, and 4 test bed, and some failed and some is successful, but not everything is successful. You know, we have try and error, okay, and failed because they didn't listen to people. They failed. Okay. Yeah. Successful. They've listened to the people. At the beginning, the people have participated.
Yeah.
And it took longer, but more successful.
Yeah.
Because people, they know what is going on here, which technology. And how about local vendor in my domestic vendor, in my neighbors, in my province? That is very important,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
We have to have our own committee, organization,
Yeah.
mixed up together and open to the connect to the foreign vendors.
Yeah.
But only they are seller. They cannot decide
Yeah.
what we're doing. That is very important thing that
Yeah.
we have.
Memang pengalaman panjang mereka dialami oleh Korea Selatan, Pak Hairudin, bahwa sebenarnya yang paling penting sebenarnya adalah mereka belajar dari perusahaan IT. Mereka undang, mereka paksa untuk bisa sharing knowledge itu. Sampai akhirnya mereka bisa tahu apa yang mereka lakukan dan strategi apa yang dilakukan untuk bahkan mereka melibatkan masyarakat. Jadi mereka pernah gagal karena mereka tidak mendengarkan. Mereka merasa bahwa Korea Selatan itu cukup, oke, ambil teknologinya lalu kemudian lakukan atau tanamkan ke Korea Selatan, tapi ternyata tidak kompatibel. Nah, ketika ada keterlibatan masyarakat, bahkan itu lebih kontekstual gitu loh. Nah, apa yang bisa kita lakukan? Mungkin kita perlu di Indonesia ya, berarti kita perlu langkah yang berani untuk bisa, apakah di level kabupaten atau kota, untuk berani melibatkan perusahaan yang benar-benar bisa mensupport hal itu supaya kita bisa meminta teknologi dari mereka, transfer knowledge sama skill, tapi memang harus jelas tentang terkait dengan budgetnya aja karena mungkin kita punya masalah itu. Nah, itu langkah yang mereka lakukan di Korea Selatan sehingga dan juga pemimpin juga ikut mendukung, mensupport sehingga mereka berhasil walaupun tidak selalu langsung berhasil, mereka juga gagal. Okay. Okay, thank you, Professor. We have one question from the audience. Yeah, we have our Manggarai. Yeah, Manggarai Regency. Okay, maybe you can directly give the question to Manggarai Regency. Manggarai. Oke, silakan Ibu.
Baik, selamat pagi Bapak dan Profesor. Terima kasih, saya Carolina dari Baperida Kabupaten Manggarai. Pertama-tama terima kasih untuk best practice-nya dari Profesor yang sudah di-sharingkan untuk kami, pemerintah kabupaten. Satu pertanyaan saya, mohon izin Bapak. Yang pertama, kalau bicara tentang konsep Smart City in Indonesia, kita mengenal ada 3 konsep besar, Smart Village, Smart Regencies, dan juga Smart Province. Apakah di Korea Selatan ada 3 atau pemisahan level Smart City konsep yang diterapkan di pemerintahan? Karena mengingat di Indonesia sendiri, problem rural area dan problem urban area itu sangat berbeda jauh, sehingga mengenai strategi dan manajemen risikonya yang diterapkan juga berbeda-beda. Mungkin bisa di-sharingkan bagaimana strategi dari pemerintah Korea Selatan. Yang pertama tentang strategi yang diterapkan, mungkin di sana juga ada perbedaan daerah seperti yang terjadi di Indonesia. Dan yang kedua tentang manajemen risiko apa yang juga diterapkan oleh pemerintah Korea sebelum melakukan sebuah inovasi-inovasi yang berkaitan dengan penggunaan ICT di berbagai level pemerintahan. Dan yang terakhir, mungkin berbicara tentang satu kendala pemanfaatan dan penerapan ICT di Indonesia, kita masih sangat kurang untuk khususnya di level regencies ataupun village, kurangnya kerjasama dengan pihak-pihak yang seperti tadi disampaikan oleh Profesor tentang companies yang memiliki penganggaran atau pendanaan untuk infrastruktur. Mungkin bisa di-sharingkan bagaimana strateginya agar daerah-daerah yang memang sangat kurang pendanaan untuk ICT bisa terbantu dengan konsep Smart City.
Oke, terima kasih Ibu Carolina. Ya, benar Ibu? Ya, baik. There are 2 questions, Professor. So in Indonesia, we have also a smart city concept. For example, for smart city in province, regency, and village. And we already tried to build a smart city, but we want to learn from South Korea about the strategy, how South Korea can implement the smart city, even though there are differences in every region. There are differences in every places in South Korea. And different problem. So how to manage the strategy, how to build strategy to overcome the problem, especially about how to build smart city in maybe in regency or in village in South Korea. That's the first question.
Yes. It's always, IT at the beginning, it must be top-down approach. Government driven. So they have to initiate the project. So that's the way we have been doing in the same strategy of building smart city. So the Ministry of Land and Transportation, they are in charge of building smart city in Korea. So that is the control tower under the president leadership, and they put everything all together in one minister. Yes. So and they allocate and
Allocate the budget.
Budget.
Okay, allocate the budget.
And they initiate projects and test bed. They selected Busan and Gwangju and Seoul, the 5 big city,
Okay.
Transform each different style of smart city.
Okay.
And then the other small city, they also, applied to get budget from that ministry, 50 So 50 mid and small cities, at the same time, they got budget from the government at the same time. But there is a smaller. But, there's no market, no vendors, not many vendors. So that is the strategy that government driven. They initiate, aim, make market. Make market, create market for building smart city, okay? And then, okay, we don't have platform, so we have to borrow AWS platform, cloud, and Google's. Then at the beginning, but we are learning how to build that. And then 5 years later, we're gonna have Naver's cloud, Samsung cloud, KT cloud, not Amazon.
So how
Anyway.
to identify the differences between between every places in South Korea? Because there's not same problem in that in every place regarding to build smart city.
Yes, they have different style, different resources, okay? But, government can provide a standardized
Okay, standardized.
technology.
Okay.
That come from the private market. That comes from private market.
Okay.
And then we listen to Samsung. Okay,
Okay.
this is the top level, global level of standardization. And we listen. So we open to the market and buy system platforms from the private market. Okay, that is the government-driven strategy, procurement, New Deal. That is a New Deal. I was the New Deal, one of the committee member of New Deal, Digital New Deal. So that's what government pouring huge money in the market and buy and initiate their idea and system to build smart city.
How to create the risk management? Bu Carolina also asked about it. Is there any kind of strategy to create a risk management system? Risk management system.
Risk management.
Yeah, risk management system in order to build the smart city.
That is very tough question because Korea has so many accidents, bridge falling down, but that is institutional problem,
Okay,
bureaucratic problem. But actually, data is ready, but government doesn't, connect with each other. Sensors everywhere. But they don't catch the sensors everywhere. Because bureaucrats doesn't want and everything is connected. Because they have to regulate. All right? There must be a gap and disconnected and government interrupt and do something. But everything is connected and automatically done. Government should be disappeared.
Okay.
No, we don't need government anymore.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
That is their strategy.
Yeah. The second question from Bu Carolina: what is the strategy to attract the private sector to share their technology in order to build smart city?
Yeah, tax exemption. No tax. Tax-free.
No tax. Yeah.
Okay. Economic free zone like Songdo, Incheon, there I live from. Economic free zone, no tax.
Okay. Yeah. That's
They're gonna invest.
one of the strategy.
Yes.
Yeah.
No tax or less tax, cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay. Or guarantee. No, if you failed, you don't have to return the money.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oke, Bu Carolina, kurang lebih yang dijawab oleh Prof. Myong adalah pengalaman beliau di Korea Selatan itu sebenarnya untuk di sana ada sentralisasi. Jadi satu kementerian yang khusus ditugaskan untuk menjadi leader dalam implementasi pembangunan atau pembentukan smart city di setiap daerah di Korea Selatan, sehingga dia membuat standar dan daerah masing-masing itu memakai standar itu sehingga dan menyesuaikan kembali dengan apa yang ada di sana. Tapi dalam konteks budget dan kemudian standar sudah ada tersentralisasi sehingga gampang untuk bergerak bersama seperti itu ya. Lalu kemudian cara untuk yang dilakukan oleh Korea Selatan untuk bisa menarik dan bukan hanya menarik tapi memaksa dan dengan halus ya perusahaan atau private sector untuk bisa menyumbangkan untuk men-sharing teknologi mereka terkait dengan untuk mendukung smart city itu dengan tax free atau pembebasan pajak lah, atau mungkin lebih memberikan kelonggaran pajak bagi mereka sehingga mereka ada win-win solution, ada simbiosis mutualisme untuk bisa membagikan teknologi itu kepada Korea Selatan ya. Seperti itu mungkin. Okay, we have just 5 minutes left. Okay, I try to give an opportunity one one more from Zoom meeting. One more question. But in 5 minutes. Okay. Ya, silakan Pak.
Okay, thank you for moderator for opportunities. I'm sorry, may I speak in English?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, okay. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Yosio Sandi. I'm from Ministry of Environment and Forestry. There are two questions for the professor. The first thing is the infrastructure, IT infrastructure. As you said before, that in IT infrastructure is the backbone of the e-government and smart city. We found it other critical aspect beside the IT infrastructure. It is related to the human resources, as we know that citizens also is really really main actor for this kind of smart city concept and e-government as a whole. My questions is, would you like to elaborate about the strategy of Korean government to accelerate the what we call it competence or digital literacy in Korea, so that the infrastructure, I mean the application or something like that, it can be useful for the citizens. I mean, how the Korean government to accelerate the digital literacy of the citizens, and is there any and the second one is about the continuity of IT transformation, as you said before, that transformation in information technology has been implemented since 80s. How my questions is how the bureaucracy can make sure the continuity of IT transformations when the political event. I mean, how Korean government can make sure the IT transformation can be sustained. As we know that bureaucracy is a very what we call it is a very what we call it is very related to political. I mean, it's very
Conservative.
Yeah, I mean, how the bureaucracy in Korea can manage their authority to make sure the IT transformation can sustain apart with political aspect.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that is two questions from us. Thank you for your time, and yeah, thank you.
Okay. First question.
I got it.
Okay, thank you.
The strategy from the government initiative, they have to support the company first.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a subsidy grant. And company Samsung, they sell smartphone and other devices very cheap to the people, but government support, grant. Okay? And they guarantee the return of investment at the beginning until the spread out of the infrastructure like smartphones. And the Ministry of Telecommunications, first they made a competitive market, and they transformed the national-owned telecommunication company, that is Korean Telecommunication. They become private company. And SK Telecom, there's a private company. And they also allowed the business for LG Telecommunications. And now they are also considering for fourth telecommunications company. So they're gonna make a market, a competitive market. But at the beginning, monopolize, but supported by the government. Because foreign vendors like Huawei, China, too huge and big.
Yeah.
Very, dangerous. Because they, have everything, the middleware system, about 70% of the worldwide, they have spread out, installed middleware, very cheap. But, microchips inside, they monitor everything, so. I'm sorry. Okay, China is anyway. But the future strategy is that the satellite system, like Elon Musk, he launched 10,000 satellites, small commercial. It's cheaper, and especially for Indonesia, a lot of islands, cheaper wireless satellite internet. It's a 1/3 cost. And Korea, now we are actively launching rockets, satellite rocket from our own technology.
Technology.
Mugunghwa is very successful. The second launch, 100% Korean technology, successful. So we're going to launch our satellite into everywhere. And 1/3 cost of internet in the future. So that is kind of one solution for Indonesia. Which one is cheaper, Elon Musk or Korea? so you can choose, right? And we transfer know-how and technology to Indonesia. That is the strategy. Yes.
Okay, we have still time, but very limited. The committee asked you to read the question in the Zoom meeting chat. Is there any? We still have time for read the questions. You can choose one questions to answer from. How to implement a smart city concept in a local government in a remote area? That's the question, Professor.
Yes, that's what is happening actually in European countries, in Estonia, Finland, and Netherlands. Not a big city. It is a smart community. That is more important than what a local government can afford to it, right? And like religious group, as you mentioned, in Korea we have very family ties, strong. And then young people are very good at internet. The power bloggers, right? And they chatting, discuss, communicate with all the time, politics, economics, and militaries and everything. So they are everybody is present, okay? They know what's going on here. So that's what should happen in a local community. And they must be informed all the time, smart, okay, enough to beat government people. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Beat the bureaucracy because you know better than them. You can handle what happened in local area. So we can do better than you. And then they can deregulate and hand off from the paper work and regulations. Deregulations happens from the bottom, that is local communities, because they don't need government paperwork. What the heck is that? So that is the strategy. And Korea, that was very successful. Okay, people get smarter than bureaucrats. That is the key, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you,
believe.
Professor. Okay, we reached our limitation time. Okay, okay. I think that's the final session for this first session for two of you, and allow me to give some kind of a short summary. Profesor Myung, I'm sorry, Profesor, saya Indonesia. Profesor Myung mengatakan bahwa dari apa yang sampaikan tadi bahwa sebenarnya smart city itu kita memerlukan upaya yang harus kita lakukan semaksimal mungkin membangun IT infrastructure yang baik dengan berbagai macam pendekatan yang kita lakukan, terutama tadi yang sampaikan oleh beliau bahwa kita perlu suatu keberanian untuk bisa mengundang atau berkolaborasi dengan sektor swasta atau negara lain ya, untuk bisa membangun atau membuat percepatan. Ya. Di sisi lain juga kita perlu membuka atau membuat keterbukaan, ya, di mana aspirasi dari masyarakat itu mulai untuk didengarkan. Dan situasi politik di Indonesia yang itu mungkin akan menjadi tantangan tersendiri bagi kita, tapi bagaimana hal yang ditunjukkan oleh Korea Selatan, apa yang mereka lakukan, itu kita bisa jadikan acuan bagaimana kita bisa mendorong hal yang baik untuk diimplementasikan di Indonesia. Jadi kita bisa banyak belajar dari Prof. Myung dan Korea Selatan terkait dengan bagaimana mengimplementasikan atau bagaimana mendorong upaya-upaya apa yang kita bisa lakukan untuk bisa menciptakan smart city di level paling bawah sampai level paling atas, desa, regency until province. Mungkin itu kesimpulannya. Okay, Professor, thank you so much for your
My pleasure.
sharing to us. Give applause to our Professor Song Hyung Wang Myung. Thank you, Professor.
Well, thank you, Professor Myung and Mr. Budi, for delivering insightful ideas. Before we are moving to the next session, I would like to give you information that we have 313 participants in the Zoom meeting and 40 participants in our YouTube channel. They are representatives from Ministry of Government, local government, and city government. All participants who joined in the Zoom meeting, hopefully the sharing session can be the best lesson for all. Well, we're moving to the presentation session 1, delivered by Professor Paula, a professor from Public Administration Department, Santa Catarina State University, Brazil. And the discussion will be led by Ms. Keisha as the moderator. We invite Professor Paula and Ms. Keisha to get on the stage and start discussion session 2. Thank you.
Cek. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Mrs. Retnayu, for the MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Nurlia, Vice Directors, all Professor Myung and INHA colleagues, and Mr. Carlos, and to all fellow lecturers, to all audiences and our beloved students. It is with great honor my name is Kay Sadinya Solihati as the moderator for this session. Maybe some of you, maybe it is not very common to have two moderators for one sessions, but you know that since our campus really brings forward about gender equality and how women has to have a voice, yeah? So here I am as a woman to moderate an amazing woman with us, and so go girl power. Okay, now let me introduce our next speaker, who have flown more than 22 hours, plus the jet lag, plus the transit, just to be with us today in this room. Please give a warm round of applause to Professor Paula Chishammer from University of Santa Catarina, Brazil. Okay, maybe some of you also think that she looks familiar because she last year also joined as the keynote speaker for our 4th international conference last year. But she was joining from Brazil, right? So it is really an opportunity to have you directly here with us in this meeting room. Okay, moving on to our next sessions about the international community service. In the previous sessions, we have learned many insights from Professor Myong about the smart city and e-government. And right now we will learn more from about accountability and governance from Professor Paula. So you know, Professor Paula has traveled to many places around the world and giving her knowledge and insight about accountability and governance and also open government, the things that are closely interconnected and brings a very crucial aspect to not only organizations, to political society and also to public service, right? So we'll get there we'll get there soon. But before that, and also she will also maybe share about her experience from Brazil and how the policy was applied in Brazil. As you know that Indonesia and Brazil is two different countries located in different parts of the world, but we have many similarities. Yeah, like Prof. Nurlia has said about the population, about the climate, about the even traffic and also pollution, ya. And mungkin ketika kita membandingkan dengan negara yang sudah terlalu maju akan sangat terlihat perbedaannya dan gapnya. Tetapi ketika when we compare to countries that is similar, maybe we can do like a benchmark and take away the best practice and to be more suitable to be responded and adopted in our countries. Okay, so before I hand over the sessions to Professor Paula, let me read a quick summary of her CV. Please let me, Professor. Paula Chishammer is a professor of public administration and leader of the research group Politia at the Santa Catarina State University in Brazil. She is also the president of ICOM, a community foundation based in southern Brazil. Besides that, she is also a member and supporter of several civil society organizations and public commissions, including the National Council on Transparency, Integrity, and Combating Corruption, the Working Group for the 6th National Open Government Plan, the first plan Santa Catarina Open Government, Act for Delivery, and the World Bank Group's Expert Advisory Council on Citizen Engagement. She has served as a board member and treasurer of the International Social Society for Third Sector Research, or ISTR, as member of the Brazilian Social Management Research Network, and in the editorial boards of several peer-reviewed journals. Her education, she holds a PhD in administration from the Getulio Vargas Foundation, Master's in Administration from the Federal University of Bahia, and Bachelor's in Administration from the University of Caxias do Sul. Okay. She is the author, co-author, and editor of papers, chapters, and books on co-production of public services, accountability, open government, collaborative governance, social management, and philanthropy. Okay, that was a very remarkable CV. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Professor Paula to give her materials. You have 25 minutes to present your materials. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Professor Keisha, Professor Nurlia, Professor Myong. It's a pleasure, a great pleasure to be here. We have some colleagues, we already discussed these topics during this week, And I'm learning a lot with you, and I'm very happy to have this opportunity to debate the connections between smart city and accountability. I will focus on accountability and its relationships with open government and open governance, we could say. And I would connect with Professor Myon just showed us. He asked about e-government for what and for whom. I could ask accountability for what and for whom. And especially when we talk about Indonesia and Brazil, we are countries with a lot of similarities. That one of the similarities is that we are very unequal countries. Power is very concentrated. And we can see in the nation scale, but also in the local scale. If we go to cities, big cities, we can see the concentration of power. We can see populations that are much more vulnerable, who faces daily difficulties in accessing public services, in mobility, for example. So the conditions are not the same. And when we talk about accountability, transparency, and open government, in what extent we consider these differences, these vulnerabilities of marginalized groups or peripheral groups, and those who are more powerful in terms of accessing information, accessing resources, and participating of the relevant decisions in society. So it's my point here would be emphasize these equality issues, inclusive issues, when we talk about smart cities, accountability, and governance. Then my question would be, in what extent a smart city is or could be also an inclusive city, a sustainable city? Professor Myon already mentioned this, and I would like to emphasize. This is something about the research group I am part. I'm leading the topics we work with are co-production of the public good, accountability, innovation, and sustainability. The two first research lines are those I am more directly involved, and there are colleagues that are working in these other areas. The next one, please. You tell me when you want to. The next one.
Next, please.
Well, the concept of accountability, I would like to emphasize that it's about relationships. All the time, we relate to other people, other institutions, and when we live in cities, all the time we have relationships, and all the relationships implies expectations, what we expect from the other part and what we are supposed to respond to the expectations of others about us. And so it implies responsiveness. And responsiveness could be understood as a dimension of accountability. Then in the second figure, you see a model from an author called Koppel, Jonathan Koppel, and he identifies 5 dimensions of accountability: transparency, responsibility, imputability, controllability, and responsiveness. And I would like to emphasize responsiveness. The idea of accountability could be summarized in the obligation or the value that we must respond to expectations. Other definition or idea could be the control over the exercise of power. Since we have power, we must have some mechanisms to control the exercise of this power. We also have these notions of checks and balances. It's a way to have some kind of counterbalancing in the exercise of power. We could also think in accountability as justice. And I would call your attention to the last one. You could think about accountability as a collaboration process to improve public service delivery and address complex problems. And then we could connect with the idea of openness, open governments, openness to dialogue, openness to collaborate with others, trust, because this openness and transparency and this collaboration process could enhance trust or not. This is based in truth. This improve legitimacy, and possibly the topic we have here, resilience, governance, possibly it helps us to have more resilient societies.
Oke, saya sedikit interpret. Jadi Prof. Paula di awal menyatakan ingin mengajak kita berpikir, sebenarnya accountability ini untuk apa dan juga untuk siapa. Pertama-tama itu untuk dipertanyakan dahulu, kemudian memang di kita itu terkait accountabilitas, ini akan terkait juga dengan konsentrasi kekuatan atau power concentration, di mana dan siapa yang ada di saat itu, gitu ya. Kemudian untuk di akuntabilitas sendiri, yang ada adalah asal dari akuntabilitas adalah berdasarkan hubungan, di mana ketika ada terjadinya suatu hubungan maka akan dihasilkan ekspektasi. Ketika misalkan masyarakat berekspektasi, maka berarti seharusnya seseorang yang akuntabel akan memberikan respons atau memberikan tanggapan. Dan disitulah dimensi terpenting dari akuntabilitas dari 5 dimensi yang telah dibicarakan tentang respons. Gitu ya. Bagaimana pihak yang akuntabel itu untuk merespon. Nah, kita bersikap akuntabel berarti kita merespon terhadap expectation, dan juga termasuk juga diantaranya adalah dengan mengatur apa yang kita kuasai dan juga untuk bisa bertanggung jawab dengan apa yang dilakukan, justice, dan juga dengan tujuan untuk meningkatkan improve public service delivery. Please go on.
The next, please. Well, and then emphasizing this notion of social accountability, you see, if we emphasize the idea of social, we emphasize the idea of relations. And it could be inclusive participation and collective action in a way that the state and service providers are responsive to citizens' needs and they are held accountable. The citizens should be able to demand transparency and monitor and assess the performance of politicians, of public servants from the bureaucracy, and also private corporations managing public resources. And if we emphasize this idea of collaboration and relational approaches of accountability, the focus is on mutual engagement. So the public servants, the politicians collaborate with the private sector and with citizens to tackle problems, but those affected by the decisions are part of the processes, decision-making and implementation. They work together and learn in the course of action how to deal with complex problems and respond to needs and expectations. Because not always will we have all the answers since the beginning or in the planning stage. We need to learn since we are engaged in implementation, and we could adapt the course of action. So the last point, the quality of relationships are so central in this relational approach.
Oke, jadi untuk akuntabilitas sosial, di mana akuntabilitas itu bukan hanya dimiliki oleh satu orang, tapi juga secara sosial, secara publik, di mana partisipasi dan inklusivitas dari masyarakat juga diperlukan, gitu ya. State and service providers, pelaksana publik, dia melakukan respons terhadap citizens tidak hanya untuk berdasarkan satu arah, tetapi dengan dua arah, di mana respon atau citizens juga diharapkan untuk bersama-sama work together, bekerja bersama untuk bisa memecahkan masalah yang dihadapi, sehingga respon yang dia berikan adalah memang respon yang tepat untuk menghadapi ekspektasi dari masyarakat ataupun sosial yang ditujukan, gitu. Kemudian jadi pada dasarnya akuntabilitas sosial ini berdasarkan dengan hubungan pendekatan relation gitu ya. Jadi tidak satu arah, tapi dia adalah ada hubungan di antara dari pihak yang akuntabel dan juga dari pihak yang akan diberikan layanan tersebut. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Next. Well, so in this collaborative approach, we are choosing this alternative to the more traditional or known confrontational adversarial approach of accountability. Sometimes we need to use this approach when the governments are not open, when the governments don't want to collaborate. Possibly we will confrontate, we will protest, we will demand, but when the governments are open and society want to collaborate too, we can have this collaborative approach. And the potential contribution of social accountability is that accountable institutions can promote more equitable, sustained economic growth and contribute to prosperity more generally. And also social accountability processes can help deliver better service in the front line.
Oke, jadi ketika pemerintah tidak transparan, maka sangat wajar jika adanya konfrontasi. Pihak protes dari respon-respon masyarakat yang merasa tidak terpenuhi. Namun ketika pemerintah bersikap untuk terbuka secara sosial, gitu, akuntabilitas sosialnya ada, yang ada adalah menjadi co-production, di mana dasarnya adalah kolaborasi. Setelah terjadi kolaborasi itu, maka akuntabilitas sosial akan membantu merealisasikan layanan yang lebih baik untuk masyarakatnya.
Next. Well, and here we have another concept that is very much connected with this idea of social accountability, is the concept of open government. Which is defined by the OGP, the Open Government Partnership, as an approach of government which embraces access to information, civic participation, and public accountability as values to improve governance and solve public challenges. The OCDE, another definition of open government as a culture of governance that promotes the principles of transparency, integrity, accountability, and stakeholder participation in support of democracy and inclusive growth. And this is the report of OECD of the Brazilian state of open government, and they analyze our last 30 years. So it's a process, more than 30 years that we are opening our government with very interesting initiatives from the local level. For example, the participatory budgeting that was initiated in local, in municipalities, and then spread all over the country and the world. And we also have these national plans of opening government. We are now in our elaborating the 6th edition of the National Plan of Open Government. And so you see, it's not a linear process, nor an homogeneous process. We have ups and downs, advances and setbacks. So it takes time, and we have a lot of learning and also frustrations during this process.
Oke, kemudian mengenai open government ini atau pemerintahan terbuka adalah pendekatan di mana pemerintah tidak tertutup, begitu ya. Dia memberikan akses kepada publik mengenai informasi dan juga memberikan kesempatan kepada publik untuk ikut berpartisipasi dan juga memberikan akses ke akuntabilitas terhadap publik. Dari laporan OECD di sini juga diinformasikan mengenai definisinya, di mana ini adalah sebuah budaya yang tata kelolanya dia mengedepankan prinsip transparansi, integritas, akuntabilitas, dan dari partisipasi dari pemangku kepentingan untuk mendukung demokrasi dan juga kepertumbuhan. Di sini ada laporan yang dibuat oleh OECD dan pada saat ini sedang dibikin hingga ke edisi ke-6, di mana laporan ini sudah dilakukan selama 30 tahun lebih dari pihak OECD dan juga sedang dibangun untuk membuat national plan atau rencana jangka nasionalnya yang akan segera diterbitkan di level di edisi ke-6 ini. Thank you. Next slide.
So Brazil and Indonesia and also the Republic of Korea are members of OGP, this Open Government Partnership, since it was launched in 2011. And now we are elaborating our sixth plan, the sixth edition of the national plan. Next one. I will connect. And we also have the OGP Local, that is an opportunity for local governments to participate of this partnership. And the state where I live, Santa Catarina, is the first state in Brazil that is member of this partnership. We also have some municipalities in Brazil, such as São Paulo, our biggest city, and other cities in Brazil. And here in Indonesia, we also have some cities that are members of the OGP Local.
Kemudian dari Open Government Partnership yang sudah dibuat di jangka nasionalnya juga diturunkan menjadi OGP versi daerah atau OGP lokal. Di Brazil beberapa kota sudah menjadi anggota di OGP lokal termasuk Santa Catarina dan juga São Paulo, dan di Indonesia juga sudah ada beberapa kota yang menjadi anggota untuk OGP lokal ini.
And we are starting a research project in partnership between Brazilian institutions and here NIPA, Istialan, and also colleagues from other countries in Latin America and Europe. And the topic of the research is about in what extent the open government strategies we are adopting consider the inclusiveness, the equity in public services in the plans of open government.
Dan pada saat ini juga sedang dilakukan research kolaboratif antara beberapa negara, termasuk Brazil, Indonesia, dari Amerika dan juga dari Eropa, untuk melihat seberapa realisasikannya open government structure ini dan juga sudah diadopsikan sejauh apa di masing-masing negara. So it's a comparative study.
Next. So here is when we talk about open government, we can include different kinds of practices, but the three main components, one is about transparency, accountability, and integrity. The other one about citizen participation and collaboration and innovation. And here we can again connect with what was already presented and discussed, how opening data and having citizen participation through collaboration processes is a way to innovate and to have smart cities and better governance.
Baik, jadi untuk mendukung open governance ini, aspek-aspek pentingnya adalah transparansi, kemudian partisipasi dari pihak yang terlibat, dan juga kolaborasi dan juga inovasi. Ini juga hal yang menarik jika untuk dikaitkan dengan smart city yang telah dibahas, bagaimana ke semua aspek ini juga dapat terpenuhi di dalam ketika kita membentuk atau membangun smart city.
And here we have examples Professor Myon already addressed, for example, interoperability and digital infrastructure, also civic tech initiatives and GovTech initiatives and how they can merge or share knowledge.
Dan di sini juga ada beberapa inisiatif yang bisa dikaitkan ketika ada ke dalam smart city, seperti misalkan tech initiative dan also governance initiative sebagai salah satu pembangunnya.
Next. Well, another concept, just to add to the discussion, is the concept of collaborative governance. And again, I would like to emphasize the idea that it's a way to address problems or carry out a public purpose that could not be achieved by individual actors alone. Even when we are very powerful in terms of knowledge, of money or technology, sometimes to solve a problem, we need to collaborate with others, with citizens, with those who live the problems we want to solve. And especially it's important to include citizens and marginalized groups, those actors that are not usually involved in political decisions.
Baik, kemudian ada satu konsep lagi yaitu adalah collaborative governance atau tata kelola yang berdasarkan kolaborasi. Di mana di sini disadari seseorang individu itu tidak bisa bekerja sendirian walaupun sekuat apapun atau sehebat apapun individu itu tersebut. Kita akan tetap membutuhkan kolaborasi. Di mana di sini juga aspek penting untuk dipertimbangkan adalah suara-suara dari citizens, dari penduduk dan juga kaum marginal. Kaum marginal yang mungkin pada kenyataannya pada saat ini tidak terlalu dipertimbangkan dalam membuat keputusan.
Next. So now I will share with you some examples from Latin America. In this case, examples born in cities. In different cities, different countries in Latin America. They started in Colombia. The pioneer experience was of Bogotá, como vamos. Bogotá is the capital of Colombia, and it's also a huge city like Jakarta, like São Paulo, with a lot of inequalities and problems in terms of access to water, for example, inclusive mobility, because cities that have grown very fast and have a lot of difficulties in providing good public services to all, especially for those living in the borders of the main city. And so a group of civil society organizations, academia, media, and corporate foundations, they launched this initiative called Bogotá Como Vamos. It was an initiative to produce data, to share data, and to use data and information to know how is our city, what are the difference between one neighborhood to other, one area to other, different kinds of services, an initiative of producing data and information to map, to understand the differences, the indicators, and to define goals and to monitor it in partnership with the governments, with more detailed data about specific areas in the city and specific services. This initiative was so successful in terms of bridging data, information, and citizen participation. Then other cities in Colombia started to be inspired by Bogotá, and then we had many others in other cities. For example, Medellín, como vamos, Barranquilla, como vamos, other cities in Colombia. Then they formed this Red de Ciudades, como vamos, a network of cities sharing their experiences in producing and using data to better to improve the quality, the access of public services. Then other cities in Latin America were inspired by the experience in Colombia. And then we had, for example, in São Paulo, including my city, Florianópolis, and in Argentina, they had very interesting initiatives such as Nuestra Córdoba. And Nuestra Córdoba is particularly interesting because it was led by universities there, by the academia, and they really were able to influence the quality of debate about the problems of the city and to elaborate solutions in partnership with the governments and the diversity of civil society. There is a paper, a journal article, in which we analyzed the experiences of this kind of initiative in 10 countries in Latin America, and you could see if you want.
Oke, thank you. Di sini Profesor Paula men-share tentang suatu inisiatif yang telah dilakukan dan berhasil di Brazil. Inisiatif ini dimulai di Kolombia, tepatnya pada kota Bogota sebagai pionir. Di kota itu merupakan kota yang cukup besar dan juga memiliki banyak masalah seperti Jakarta, seperti akses kepada air, mobilitas, dan lainnya. Kemudian di sini inisiatifnya dimulai oleh para akademisi, media, dan juga foundation yang membuat sebuah pergerakan dengan nama Bogota. Dan di sini yang dilakukan adalah mereka menghasilkan data, memproduksi data, dan juga men-share data tersebut kepada publik. Di mana jadi informasi ini untuk bisa memperbandingkan dan untuk bisa memahami the difference dan apa yang bisa didapatkan atau yang dihasilkan dari data tersebut. Kemudian inisiatif ini juga telah berhasil untuk direplikasi dan juga diikuti oleh kota-kota lainnya, termasuk diantaranya ada Sao Paulo, Argentina, dan banyak kota lainnya. Termasuk di sini juga ada sebuah jurnal artikel yang telah menganalisis mengenai seberapa berhasil insentif untuk melibatkan publik mengenai data dan juga hasil data ini.
Thank you. Next one. This is another example recent that I was leading this project. It was a municipality in our state that they wanted to open in data about public procurement, but they didn't know how to do it. So we have a lot of potential in using open data to improve the process of management of public procurement, but also in improving competition and combating corruption, since we have open data about these processes. But we need a common standard to publish this information, then we can compare the information. And so we started this project in partnership between a local government and the university, and we were able to develop a network of various institutions that helped us to define this standard, and so now we can apply it to many municipalities. Is an example of collaboration to define a standard, and then it tends to be more useful for improving the management of public contracting.
Dan ini ada satu inisiatif berikutnya, di mana asal muasalnya adalah untuk menghilangkan praktek korupsi dan juga keterbukaan pada saat proses procurement atau pengadaan. Di sini dibuat oleh Data for Open Government untuk bisa memperbandingkan antara inisiatif dan juga menginformasikan informasi yang terkait dan juga dan diperlukan terhadap suatu pengadaan. Di sini local government membuat network dan juga berkolaborasi dengan berbagai macam pihak untuk membuat standarisasi untuk pada saat melakukan pengadaan.
Next. And the last example is about the participatory budgeting. This is a recent paper, like a panorama of the concept, but also the spread of this concept and the diverse methodologies and results we have of participatory budgeting all over the world, including South Korea is one of the countries where we have different methodologies, different experiences in participatory budgeting. And in Brazil, when it was like born 30 years ago or more than 30 years ago, we had in the recent years a decline in the use of this methodology to define budget. But now, again, in another cycle of the politics in our country, we are trying to reinvigorate participatory budgeting and adopting it not only in the local level but also in the national level.
Oke, kemudian pendekatan berikutnya adalah tentang participatory budgeting atau penganggaran dengan partisipasi, gitu ya. Di sini sebenarnya juga sudah dilakukan oleh South Korea dan sebenarnya sudah pernah diinisiasikan lebih dari 30 tahun lalu di Brazil. Namun dengan adanya perubahan arah politik yang baru, kemudian reinkarnasi dan sehingga pendekatan ini baru dilakukan kembali.
Next. And then there is another example, but I will skip. It's about a school of resilience in cities in our region. And the topic they are focusing this year is about water, but I will skip this example.
Skip, next please.
And to conclude my presentation, I want to connect again with Professor Myon mentioned about leadership, the relevance of leadership. What kind of leadership we need to build processes of collaborative governance, social accountability, open government, sustainable, fair, democratic cities. And I like this image because it shows that this 21st century public servant is someone who is a resource waiver, a storyteller, because the public servant must understand the reality of different profiles of citizens and how they live, how they experience the access to public service. He or she is a commissioner, a broker, a municipal entrepreneur, a networker, a navigator, and a system architect. I like this idea because we need to understand the system and to project system, but not alone from our desks. And yes, in conversations, in collaboration with the users, with the citizens. And it's very much connected with Professor Myung already said.
Baik, kemudian di sini untuk penutupnya ada image mengenai public INS di abad 21 ini, di mana INS pada saat ini juga perlu untuk kita pertanyakan mengenai leadership-nya atau kepemimpinannya. Leadership yang seperti apa yang akan dibutuhkan untuk bisa mengakomodir semua inisiatif tadi, untuk bisa mewujudkan open government, untuk bisa mewujudkan collaborative governance, dan lainnya. Kemudian ASN ini di era 21 akan memiliki banyak peran, di mana ada sebagai resource weaver, jadi dia harus bisa mengalokasikan atau juga mempergunakan sumber daya dengan baik, sebagai storyteller, di mana ia harus bisa memahami posisi dan juga kondisi yang ada, kemudian sebagai komisioner, sebagai broker, sebagai entrepreneur, sebagai wirausaha, sebagai pembuka jaringan, sebagai navigator, dan juga sebagai sistem arsitek. Sistem arsitek ini juga menarik karena walaupun terkesan untuk membangun sebuah sistem, tapi ini tetap tidak dilakukan sendiri. Tetap harus dilakukan kolaborasi dan juga yang diperkaitkan dengan banyak pihak.
Next. Well, and this is a concept of systems convening. And the author says it's a crucial form of leadership for the 21st century. This book is available for download if you want. It's interesting, this idea that the contemporary leadership would be of convening, the capacity of convening those interested in a problem and making it possible for them to working together in a long-term perspective, learning and collaborating to solve problems.
Kemudian di sini ada sistem convening. Ini adalah sebuah buku yang juga bisa di-download. Di sini menjelaskan bagaimana kapasitas kita untuk bisa bekerja sama, untuk bisa bersama-sama untuk memecahkan masalah. Dan di sini adalah hal yang sangat penting, di mana di sini mempertemukan banyak pihak dan juga banyak pemikiran.
Next. Social accountability practitioners could also act as system conveners. Next, I will just conclude. I will conclude with these images and asking what kind of bridges are we building? We compare different ways of doing open government and doing social accountability, and we identify that sometimes the government say, oh, we will open the government, and they construct a pier. Like a pier, we are here and the boats, the partners could come to us. In other situations, we have movable bridges. Sometimes we can pass, sometimes not. So depends on the context, depends who is leading the process, and it's not sustain. This relationship is not sustained. In other cases, we don't have the project from the beginning. We don't know exactly where are we going. Then we have to build the bridge step by step, stone by stone. Since we understand the problem and the possibilities while we walk, and also considering the terrain, the characteristics of the river and the landscape. And in the other possibility is when we already have more resources, more knowledge, more partners, and we have a big project and resources to invest in big bridges, and these bridges are sustained by multiple axes.
Baik, terima kasih. Untuk penutupnya di sini, Profesor Paula ingin juga mempertanyakan kepada kita. Kita melihat jembatan ini adalah kira-kira hubungan seperti apa yang ingin kita bangun antara untuk merealisasikan open government tersebut. Apakah misalkan jembatan ini direalisasikan sebagai hubungan? Apakah jembatan yang ada, tapi sebenarnya kita hanya untuk menghubungkan pada saat itu saja, atau jembatan yang fleksibel ketika misalkan kita hanya untuk bisa terbuka dan tertutup, jadi sehingga tidak semua informasi juga kita sampaikan hanya berdasarkan ketika dengan siapa kita berbicara atau dengan siapa pihak yang membutuhkan informasi tersebut, atau ketika misalkan kita sama sekali tidak tahu mengenai masalah atau bagaimana sih membuat open government, maka berarti yang harus dilakukan adalah kita membangunnya dengan satu persatu, dengan langkah perlahan, mulai dari menganalisis terlebih dahulu masalah apa yang kita hadapi, kemudian mengenali karakteristik situasinya, dan kemudian mulai membangunnya perlahan. Selain itu juga, ketika nanti jika kita sudah memiliki sumber daya yang cukup besar, maka kita akan bisa membuat jembatan yang lebih sustain, dengan relationship yang juga lebih sustain. Begitu, kurang lebih seperti itu. Thank you.
Well, today here we are building bridges. Let's see what kind of bridges we will be able to construct in the next steps. And I hope we really have a long-lasting collaboration and we will share and learn a lot in the near future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for Professor Paula for her wonderful presentation. Okay, now we'll jump into the discussion sessions. For those of you in this room who wants to ask directly to Professor Paula, you may raise your hand. You can ask the questions in Bahasa Indonesia or in English. Anyone in this room? No one? Okay, so and then we'll go. Oh, sorry. We have one audience from in the Zoom meeting already raised hand. You can ask the question from Manggarai and Tete. Please, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Hi, Professor Paula. My name is Erwin from East Nusa Tenggara Province, Manggarai Regency. My question is, how can a local government collaborate with other stakeholders? Specifically, how we can reduce the sectoral ego from its stakeholders? Thank you.
Okay, interesting questions. You want to answer directly?
Yes, well, thank you very much for your presence here and your question. We have many examples in Brazil, and one that comes to my mind now is the city of Londrina in Paraná. They had huge problems with corruption. They were like champions of corruption. And the problem of corruption made the city has a lot of mistrust in government and conflicts between the private sector and the government, and between government and civil society. So everybody was frustrated about the way they were running the government. And then some initiatives started from civil society. For example, they created an observatory of public management, public administration in Londrina. Also, the business association created an initiative to opening contracting to incentivize that the local government could buy more products from enterprises that are in the region. But for that, they need to eliminate corruption or to reduce corruption. And so they had like a confluence of factors, a change in the government, initiatives from civil society, initiatives from the business sector, the academia, the university there, the public university there was also very active, and they created a council on transparency and combating corruption. And they were able to convene all these actors through this council and other initiatives to understand the problem of corruption and how they could improve and deal with corruption, but also to improve, for example, public contracting with the participation of local enterprises, and to improve bureaucratic processes, to improve the management of public procurement in the city. And they were able to collaborate. And in 10 years, 10 years is not a long time for change in public administration. In 10 years, they became a national reference in transparency, in good management of public procurement, and this was achieved through collaboration, active collaboration from the government, journalists, also academia, the business sector, and civil society organizations. So it's possible. It depends on a confluence of factors, but this is possible.
Baik, terima kasih. Jadi Profesor Paula mengedepankan untuk menghilangkan ego sektoral juga dan mewujudkan realisasi dari open government di lokal. Yang terpenting adalah inisiatif dan juga kita harus mengeliminasi masalah utamanya. Inisiatifnya itu harus berasal dari publik, kemudian juga dengan juga inisiatif dari pihak bisnis, akademia, dan juga tentunya dari government. Di Brazil dengan upaya ini selama 10 tahun akhirnya dia berhasil untuk menyelesaikan masalah ini dan juga menjadikannya sebagai national reference. Okay, thank you for the first question. Now for moving on to the second question. We have one directly. Please sir, thank you. Please introduce your name and your organization.
Baik, terima kasih. Ini yang kedua, mohon izin. Assalamualaikum. Begini, saya melihat masalah accountability dengan open government ya. Kita melihat permasalahan kita salah satunya di beberapa daerah di Indonesia itu adalah indeks pembangunan manusia. Kira-kira pengalaman dari profesor ini bisa enggak kita memberikan sebuah contoh atau gambaran bahwa dengan open government dan accountability itu ada lonjakan-lonjakan atau lompatan-lompatan dari peningkatan indeks pembangunan manusia. Sehingga nanti memang ini menjadi sebuah pembelajaran bagi kita bagaimana di daerah-daerah tertentu yang IPM-nya memang rendah itu bisa membuat sebuah lonjakan dalam rangka peningkatan pembangunan IPM ini. Terima kasih.
Thank you. Good question, Mr. So he is asking about accountability. One of the issues that is being faced in Indonesia is the low index of Human Development Index or Indeks Pembangunan Nasional. He wants to ask your experience. Is there any correlations if we try to apply the open government and also the accountability? Will it improve the Human Development Index? And so in hopes that it can be used as a reference for the local and regional areas to improve their Human Development Index. Thank you.
Well, very good. Thank you very much for your question. It's a good idea for our research, maybe a new research project we could do in partnership to compare, to measure the open government strategies, social accountability strategies, considering the differences in the human development indexes between municipalities. It would be very interesting. I don't know, because, for example, my city, Florianópolis, the capital of Santa Catarina, we have a high human development index for the context of Brazil. It's very high. And we are very bad in transparency. We are bad in accountability. And there are other cities like Londrina. As I said, Londrina is also a rich city with good indicators, but they had a problem of corruption and they were able to change. And we also have cities in Brazil that are in more poor regions with more difficulties in terms of indicators of development, and they have very interesting initiatives in transparency, accountability, and local government. So I don't know, I possibly there are researchers that makes this correlation, but we could possibly elaborate a project to explore more this idea that it's very interesting.
Oke, baik, terima kasih. Jadi untuk responnya pada saat ini memang hal itu tidak diketahui dengan pasti untuk jawaban pastinya, karena memang di Brazil sendiri beberapa kota memiliki kondisi yang kontradiktif, di mana indeks pembangunan manusia ada yang tinggi, tetapi ternyata tetap saja ada corruption dan juga ada ketidakterbukaan informasi, dan juga sebaliknya. Jadi ini akan menjadi suatu proyek yang menarik jika untuk diteruskan. Terima kasih. Oke, we're moving on to, we have 2 questions from Zoom. Can the committee shows? Okay, so this one is from Juliawan, our students in Magister. Let me translate. In Indonesia, every institution has information, have their own specific criteria for informations about which information that can be published and which information that is secret. And then how in Brazil or in other countries, and is there any institutions that also can observe the criteria of what is the information that should be published to public and which are not should not be published to public? And these collaborations, I think it only on the informal sites. It doesn't have the high level of pressures to the government. So it is, he thinks that these collaborations only an initiative, not something that we need to do or it's a mandatory. Is that correct?
Very good. Thank you, Julia, for the question. Well, we have a national regulation from 2011, the Law on Access to Information. That is our main regulation about this, about transparency, access to information. And since that regulation, transparency is the norm. And you have to justify when you have an information that is sensitive, when you have to justify when it is not transparent. But it's not enough to have the law, because the municipality sometimes, or each department, sometimes even the judiciary, the courts, they are resistant to transparency, more than the executive branch, more than the legislative branch. We have a lot of resistance from some departments in the national level, and some local governments are also resistant. So it's not enough to have the law. Some strategies to promote this, the openness of information are launched by oversight institutions. Then they established ranks with criteria to compare, and comparisons sometimes are incentives for municipalities, because if they are bad in that ranks, people start to say, oh, you are so bad, and you can look to those municipalities or those states that are better positioned and learn with them what they did. There are some states in Brazil that they are always in the top of the ranks of transparency, because they prioritized it, and so other states, other municipalities can learn with them. And those who are bad can be pressured locally or by the oversight institutions to improve their performance in terms of openness, transparency, and accountability on information. And there are also lacks or gaps in terms of the standards to open information. And this was the example I mentioned, because the law says that the municipalities should publish open data about their procurement processes. But the law does not define the standards. And so you can choose the standard you want. But the problem is, if each municipality or each department define their own standard, you cannot compare. And then you lose some of the potentials of open data, that is comparability. So one effort is exactly to define standards for opening data in a collaborative way, that in a way that more municipalities or more departments can use the same standard.
Okay, that's a very good answer. So, Jadi Prof. Paula bilang transparansi itu adalah etikanya, standarnya, begitu ya. Walaupun jika misalkan kita membayangkan ketika semua kelurahan atau kabupaten terbuka terhadap datanya, tentunya sebenarnya itu adalah bisa menjadi suatu tempat untuk dijadikan perbandingan. Ketika misalkan ada area yang kurang, dia bisa melihat ke area yang lebih bagus dan bisa menjadi tempat untuk pembelajaran. Namun pada saat ini memang sulitnya adalah tadi law-nya itu atau aturannya tidak menspesifikasikan standar yang harus law-nya itu mendefinisikan bahwa municipalities harus men-share, tapi tidak mendefinisikan mengenai standarnya, seberapa detail, seberapa dalam yang harus di-sharekan. Dan itu menjadi pemahaman ataupun standarisasi dari setiap daerahnya masing-masing. Maka seharusnya yang dilakukan adalah kembali lagi ke kolaborasi, di mana seharusnya kita membuat sebuah standar secara kolaboratif untuk bisa mendefinisikan standar data yang sebaiknya bisa untuk dipublikasi itu seperti apa. Mungkin begitu, Mr. Julian. Thank you for the answer and the questions. Maybe this is the last questions ya, as we're running out of time. Can the committee shows or maybe someone in Zoom already raise hand? Okay, this one is the questions from North Cipete, from local government also. He asked about observatorium. Social observatorium is in what state and related to the public organizations or the NGO, and also how Brazil came up and to handle the politic which is being hostage by cartel. Can you understand the questions or?
The part of the cartel, I don't know if I got it, but
sorry, cartel. I think this one is about the apa kong kali kong?
I know the cartel, but in this context, if the social observatories could help us to countervail the power of cartels, maybe, I don't know. Well, but the first part of the question, we have both. We have some initiatives that are from civil society, and sometimes in partnership with academia. And we have like a network of social observatories now in Brazil. They usually begin in a local in a municipality, and people start to demand transparency for the local government and also to produce data or to analyze data, to produce information. And with this information, they try to improve the debate on public services and to pressure the government also to be accountable about the main problems they identify debating this information. They also monitor, for example, public contracting, and so they are observing the action of local public administration. And then we have a network. There are social observatories in many municipalities, inclusive in my state, and they try to act as like citizens who are aware and who are interested in monitoring, but also collaborating with governments to improve public administration. There are some observatories that are public, that are in government. For example, the city of Porto Alegre, where the participatory budgeting was born. Porto Alegre, the municipality defined their observatory, and for many years they started to assemble data and put it public. Then people and researchers can use this information to produce research or to produce advocacy or to monitor indicators of the city. So we have this combination sometimes from observatories that are public, are run by governments, and also observatories that are run by civil society organizations. And we also have some in academia, some universities, some groups of researchers that in one institution or with members from different institutions, they monitor one subject. For example, we have observatories on climate information, observatories on, let me remember, for example, human rights, other areas that you have usually civil society organizations funding or helping to run, but you also have the leadership of academia researchers that observe one subject. So you could have this territorial delimitation or this subject delimitation. And I don't know if I understood the part.
Yeah, maybe this one is related to how to do so if there is also another part of the society is being like the boss in the area, or in like a mafia. So maybe they don't want to share, or they are doing counterproductive with what governments do.
Yes, yeah. In theory is possible to countervail this power, the concentration of information, the concentration of power, if you are able to produce information in another way, and then you have more power to pressure or to demand transparency, accountability from those who are, for example, a big enterprise that is providing, that is contracted by the government to provide a service. If you have more information and capacity to organize, to demand accountability, possibly you will be in a better condition to deal with these cartels. But sometimes it's difficult, and sometimes the people who are in the business sector, who are partners of the government, they are also involved with the civil society initiatives. So sometimes we have elite civil society initiatives, and we don't really are engaging the more vulnerable. Sometimes even the civil society initiatives are power concentrated sometimes. So it's not always so. Not always these initiatives of accountability are really being able to distribute power.
Oke, baik, terima kasih. Jadi untuk mengenai observatory, di sini disebutkan bahwa di Brazil juga observatory itu bisa terjadi dari adanya pendekatan yang berasal dari daerah, dari local municipalities terlebih dahulu, di mana mereka memproduksi data, kemudian juga bisa untuk men-share data tersebut, dan di mana data tersebut juga bisa digunakan oleh publik. Di Brazil sendiri, observatory ini tidak hanya melalui pendekatan oleh government, tapi juga ada pendekatan oleh civils dan juga publik ataupun dari NGO, serta juga ada dari pihak akademisi, di mana misalkan ada observatory mengenai khusus terkait dengan climate, ataupun observatory khusus terkait dengan human rights. Nah, kemudian untuk yang pertanyaan mengenai kartel, memang di sini akan sulit untuk menghadapi power against power gitu ya. Ketika misalkan kita menghadapi kekuasaan dibalik dengan kekuasaan. Jika misalkan kita memiliki kekuatan yang lebih, maka mungkin kita akan bisa lebih memudahkan kita untuk meminta akuntabilitas terhadap itu. Di mana kita juga di sini menjadi mungkin perannya adalah para elit civil society ataupun pihak kaum atas yang memiliki kuasa terhadap hal itu, dan juga bisa meminta akuntabilitas yang sama untuk semua pihak. Baik. Thank you very much, Prof. Paula. So I think that's all for the discussion sessions. Due to time constraint, we didn't get the chance to have all questions to be asked. Apologies for that. And okay, so before I close, let me take a strong takeaways from this presentations and also from the insightful discussions is, sorry. Okay, so again, what Prof. Paula has been saying to us about open government, accountability, social accountability, participatory and all, it all are interconnected and are effectively hold the government's account to integrated perspective, and there are all crucial parts. The social accountability itself, it is where we need to be accountable not only just doing what we are asked to do, but we also need to involve, to inclusive to all every aspects. And again, for what Prof. Paula has been asked in the first her presentations, we need to be accountable for who and for what. Okay, okay. I think that's all for the presentations, and maybe some of you also had another takeaways. But before I close, I would like to express my gratitude deeply for Professor Paula. As you know that we are really good at keeping her busy since day one, since Monday. And even though like Brazil and Jakarta has like 10 hours time differences, where she should be sleeping right now, but here she is gitu ya, very dedicated to show her knowledge and also interest and insight to us. So for that, I really appreciate and thankful for Professor Paula. And I would like to ask everybody in this room to say muito. Can you say muito? Obrigado. Okay. Is that for thank you very much? Is that correct?
Muito obrigada, terima kasih.
Muito obrigado, Professor Paula. Okay. That's a wrap for these sessions. Thank you. I hope you found this informative and useful. Apologies for any shortcomings in this event. I return the event to MC. Thank you very much.
Well, that was the last session of the discussion. Thank you again, Muito, Professor Paula, and Ms. Keisha for the inspiring discussion. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our respected speakers, let's have a moment to remember by taking a photo session. We invite Professor Myong, Professor Paula, and Professor Nurlia to take a photo together. And we also have souvenirs for the speakers that will be given by our director, Professor Nurlia Nurdin. Please, for all the professors, go move to the front of the stage.
Well, while having our picture, I would like to say thank you for all the participants. I got a report from Ibu Mala, my vice directors. Yes, Ibu Mala, that it reached to 500 participants online and offline. And this event actually meant to be for local government. Yeah, untuk local government. So we reach our goals to have these community services to our local government to be a smart cities. Thank you, thank you.
We also have souvenirs. Please, Professor Nurlia, Professor Paula, and Professor Myong, stay in the front. We also invite Professor Chang Hon Chung, Professor Jin Sol Park, Professor Hyun So Kim, Mr. Carlos, and all the vice directors to take another photo session. To all audience, you may raise. Stand up, please.
Pak Coki kalau mau foto di depan bersama.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, bersama para pembicara, dimohon kepada Bapak Kepala Bidang Bapeda Kabupaten Tangerang, Kepala Balitbang Kabupaten Muara Enim, Kepala Balitbang Kabupaten Seluma, Kepala Bapeda Kabupaten Musi Banyuasin, Kepala Bapeda Kabupaten Banggai, Kepala Bapeda Kabupaten Pasaman, beserta perwakilan, dimohon untuk mengambil foto bersama. Kabupaten Banggai.
Kurang tinggi kali. Nice. Thank you so much ya. Thank you so much.
Attention please. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, this is the end of our forum. We would like to extend our gratitude again for all the speakers, Professor Paula, Professor Myong, Professor Chang Hon Jung, Professor Jin Sol Park, and Professor Kim Hyun So for all the participation come across the Atlantic Ocean to go to NIPA School of Administration Jakarta. Thank you very much for all the participation from local regional governments both attending on the venue and in the Zoom meeting. May this event bring us so much something to learn. An apology for all shortcoming. See you at the next event. Have a nice day in Jakarta. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.